everybody, it is Steve, your friendly neighborhood lawn gnome. Welcome back to another video over here on That's Comical, and if you're watching and it happens to be a Wednesday, happy new comic book day. Well guys, in extreme anticipation, we have finally wrapped up the second season of the critically acclaimed and fan-heavy favorite, I might say, X-Men 97 Season 2. Once again, we are brought back into the world of X-Men, the animated series, with a whole new bunch of storylines based on some of the greatest X-Men stories of all time. And this time around, we definitely get some very interesting ones. From the introducing a great story involving Apocalypse, as well as in true, not just X-Men fashion, but in comics fashion, the fact that not everyone who dies stays dead. So it was great to just get back into this world and see some of my favorite characters, but also at the same time get a whole bunch of other characters that have, yes, times made appearances in the original series, but the fact that we actually got to see them again, and including a couple of new ones, was definitely really cool, as well as a couple of costume changes. So the best part about X-Men 97 Season 2 is also the biggest downfall of X-Men 97 Season 2. And a lot of people talked about how they were really underwhelmed with how the second season went, because after the first season hit, everybody was so impressed, so excited, so surprised, we all couldn't wait for Season 2. So there was, and I'm not lying, a lot of fan service, and I think that that was too much fan service for the show's own good. There were people on social media that were talking about how, why do we have a different intro every single time we get into a new episode? Well, you know what's actually interesting? I kind of like the fact that they're doing this, because what it kind of is showing you is when you see the intro for the new episode and you see different casts of characters, that pretty much is going to tell you these are the characters that you're going to be seeing in this episode. I also really appreciated the fact that we got a really cool Wolverine story with a couple of fan favorites, including seeing Weapon X, aka Kane, for the first time. That was pretty amazing. I think they tried to make him a little too much like Deadpool, but then again, if you read Rob Liefeld's X-Force 2, where Kane actually squares off with Deadpool, it makes total sense. To see Cable have a big role in this season was definitely really cool, because as we know from the end of the first season, a couple of X-Men were shot into the future while others were shot into the past, and of course, when you saw that the ones that were in the future were Scott and Jean, it was only proper that they met Ascani as well as young Nathan, and I loved the fact that we really got the Age of Apocalypse X-Man look, but also getting the opportunity to see teams like X-Factor and X-Force show up in this season was definitely pretty cool. The team that they put together for X-Force was definitely different, but to a certain degree, it does make a little bit of sense if you have read some of the X-Force comics from the mid-2000s. I mean, it was great to see Archangel and Psylocke finally get a pretty cool role. Once again, Jubilee got an opportunity to shine, and I loved Nightcrawler in this season as well, but also seeing X-Factor and seeing the role that Polaris had in the show, seeing what Forge had in the show. It was also really cool to finally hear some of these X-Factor characters speak, because they only showed up in one episode in the original series, so to actually hear dialogue from Havoc, Strong Guy, Wolfsbane, Multiple Man, really, really cool. Don't know why Quicksilver wasn't on the X-Factor team, because he was in the original animated series. Don't understand that. But the way that the show ended was pretty incredible, and knowing what we're in store for, again, I just appreciate the fact that we're already ready for a Season 3, and hopefully it's going to be coming sooner rather than later. But once again, lots and lots of nods to some of the greatest comics and moments in X-Men history. I think one of my favorite moments was when Wolverine is on screen in the classic Wolverine uniform, and he shoots his claws out and he says, "I'm back, baby." That's right off of the famous Frank Miller cover art of Wolverine #1 written by Chris Claremont. But again, I think the fact that there were too many characters really made the show a little bit confusing and sometimes all over the place, but the main plot was still very easy to define. And once again, what's quite impressive is the fact that they went in the directions that they went. Characters died again, characters returned, but the way that some of them went were probably some of the saddest moments. I mean, I still remember when Gambit passes away in the first season, but some of the things that you're going to see in this one, especially there's a big surprise at the very end that I think is going to shock everybody. It definitely shocked me, and it definitely made me very, very upset. But still very excited to see what's going to happen in Season 3. I mean, once again, I think that another fault of the show is just because of the fact that we were in between creative directors and people in charge. I mean, the whole controversy with Beau DeMayo is not a can of worms I'm going to open here, but new leadership had to take shape, and the new direction needed to take shape, so I'm just hoping that they don't ruin the next season, because it wasn't as good as Season 1, but it was still very much enjoyable. I'm really hoping one day that X-Men 97 will show up on physical media, because I have the original series. I would love to have this new series in my collection, especially these days. I'm not going to be happy if I don't own anything, and I would love to have X-Men 97 for certain. Those are my thoughts on X-Men 97 Season 2, everybody. Please put your comments in the box below. Let me know what you thought, and I will see you in the next one.